He doesn't miss love. He misses himself, the version of him that didn't need to explain, perform, or recover. Every Saturday, he buys fresh bread from the same market, nods at the same cashier, drives the same quiet route home. No drama, no games, no waiting on a reply that never comes. At 62, he lives alone. But not the kind of lonely people imagine. His mornings are soft. His evenings are quiet. His space? His own. They used to ask him, "When will you start dating again?" He used to say, "I'm just taking a break." But now, he's not sure if it's a break or a decision, because something happened over the years. After the divorce, after the disappointments, after the last time, he gave more than he got. He didn't just lose a relationship, he lost his appetite for being misunderstood. And that's when he realized he doesn't crave company. He craves clarity. He doesn't want passion. He wants peace. He's not bitter. He's awake. This video isn't about blaming women or glorifying solitude. It's about understanding the quiet shift happening inside millions of men like him. Men who still believe in love, but no longer believe in losing themselves to find it. So here it is, 18 quiet reasons why older men are choosing solitude over struggle. Not because they've given up on love, but because they've finally come home to themselves. Divorce doesn't just hurt, it breaks a man to the bone. He's seen it happen. Maybe it happened to him. One day, you're a husband, a provider, a man with a plan. The next, you're sleeping on your brother's couch, while a lawyer redefines your legacy. Divorce doesn't just end a relationship. It dismantles identity. It strips a man bare legally, emotionally, financially. He loses the house he built, the pension he earned, sometimes even the children he raised. And worst of all, he's told to move on, like it was a bad investment, not a life he gave his all to. Older men don't avoid remarriage because they hate love. They avoid it because they've seen what happens when a good man gives everything and walks away with nothing but silence and a payment plan. They're not being dramatic. They're being cautious. Because some wounds heal, but some teach you what not to repeat. He's not avoiding love. He's avoiding the act. He's dated enough to know the difference between real and rehearsed. The smiles, the cooking, the compliments all front-loaded in the audition phase. But the moment the ring is on, the warmth fades, the effort vanishes, the partner becomes an opponent. Men like him aren't cynical. They're observant. They've watched charm become control. Watched support turn into subtle sabotage. He doesn't want a performance. He wants presence. A woman who won't change her tone once the vows are said. A relationship where what's shown in the beginning is what stays. So no, he's not anti-marriage. He's anti-bait and switch. And unless he sees consistency in character, not just courtship, he's out. Because he's not playing a role anymore. He's living a life. And it needs something real. Peace over problems, because he's had enough chaos. His home used to be a battlefield, not always loud, but tense. Tiny things would trigger days of distance. One wrong word, and the room would go cold. Now, his home is quiet. The couch has one blanket. The fridge has what he likes. He falls asleep without checking if someone's still angry beside him. That silence, it's sacred. Older men like him don't chase companionship at the cost of peace. They've tasted calm. And once you've known that kind of stillness, chaos starts to look expensive. He's not lonely. He's just no longer willing to babysit dysfunction. No longer willing to call arguments passion or tension, chemistry. If she brings more noise than nurture, he closes the door, kindly but completely. Because peace isn't optional anymore. It's non-negotiable. He's tired of the act. She used to bring him coffee, laugh at his jokes, lean in when he spoke. But after the ring, the warmth faded, the effort dissolved. What felt like partnership turned into performance fatigue. He's lived the pattern. Dating her, she's gentle. Engaged, she's glowing. Married? Suddenly, he's being corrected more than appreciated. It wasn't just her behavior that changed. It was the dynamic. He went from being admired to being managed. And now, he sees it early. Sees the show some women put on until commitment secures comfort. He's not angry. He's just alert. Older men aren't running from connection. They're just done being tricked by early charm that never lasts. So unless who she is when she's dating is who she'll be when she's resting, he'll pass. He's not looking for a honeymoon. He's looking for consistency. He feels like who he is isn't welcome anymore. There was a time when structure, calm, and quiet leadership were admired in a man. Now, they're called toxic, too controlling, old school. He holds the door open, she scoffs. He offers to lead, she lectures. He speaks with calm authority, she calls it arrogance. And so he's asking himself, Why step into a culture that shames the very things he used to be praised for? He's not interested in being reprogrammed. Not at this stage. He's built his rhythm, his principles, his quiet strength. If those things no longer fit the script of modern love, he'd rather be cast out than cast down. Because masculinity, to him, isn't domination. It's stability. And if that's not welcome, then neither is he. He's looking for a teammate, not a rival. He doesn't want a debate partner. He wants a builder. Someone who understands that leadership isn't tyranny, it's responsibility. That following isn't weakness, it's wisdom. But too many modern relationships feel like a power struggle. Who earns more? Who's right more? Who submits? Never. He's not looking for someone to obey him. He's looking for someone to align with him. Because a house divided isn't a home, and two people pulling in opposite directions only end up stuck. Older men like him want cooperation, not competition. He'll honor her voice, her dreams, her values. But if every decision becomes a debate, and every suggestion feels like war, he'll choose silence and solitude, because peace needs partnership, not posturing. He's done with one-sided relationships. He used to be the giver, the planner, the one who noticed, asked, followed up, remembered. Birthday? He had a surprise. Argument? He'd be the first to apologize even when he wasn't wrong. She was emotional. He was steady. And somehow, that made it all his job to fix. But one day, he asked himself, if I stopped trying, would she even notice? And the silence that followed was his answer. Older men aren't selfish, they're self-aware. They've lived through relationships where their emotional labor went unreciprocated, where their strength was used but never restored. Now, he no longer wants to be the only one rowing the boat. If she won't paddle too, he's not afraid to dock it. Because love should be mutual, not maintenance. He finally sees his own worth. He spent years trying to earn love, trying to be good enough, stable enough, man enough, but no more. He's seen what happens when you put someone else's opinion of you above your own. You shrink, you bend, you lose yourself. Now, he values himself not through someone's approval, but through his own peace. He doesn't need to be told he's lovable. He knows what he brings. He knows what he no longer tolerates. So when someone walks in with conditions, if only you'd open up more, if only you'd be more fun, he doesn't change. He chooses. Because a man who knows his worth doesn't beg to be seen. He waits for someone who already does. He's looking for purpose, not just a pretty face. In his younger days, he was drawn to beauty, the kind that turned heads, lit up rooms. But beauty fades fast when it's not backed by substance. Now, he wants more. He wants deep conversations at midnight, shared missions, spiritual alignment, kindness that isn't performative. He's not impressed by Instagram smiles or curated charm. He's watching how she treats the waiter, how she handles disappointment, how she talks when no one's watching. Because attraction may spark interest, but it's purpose that builds a future. He's not looking for someone to decorate his life. He's looking for someone who'll build legacy beside him. And if all she brings is the exterior, he'll admire from afar. But he won't invite her in. If she doesn't match his standards, he'd rather stay alone. There was a time when he lowered his standards just to avoid being alone. He told himself, nobody's perfect. He overlooked red flags, justified behavior, settled for someone who checked most of the boxes. But every time he compromised too far, it cost him peace. Now, he knows exactly what matters. Emotional maturity, consistency, kindness, accountability. And if she lacks those, he doesn't argue, he just exits. Because for men like him, being alone is no longer scary, it's safer. It's calm, and it's honest. He's not looking for perfect, but he won't build something real with someone who refuses to grow. At this age, a woman's mindset is more attractive than her makeup, and self-respect is more important than company. He's found more peace on his own. His mornings are quiet now. The coffee is strong. The news is background noise. His thoughts, his own. He doesn't need to explain why he likes the curtains open, why he goes for walks after dinner, why he sometimes just sits in silence. There's no one asking, what's wrong, when he's simply recharging. No pressure to smile when he's thinking. No obligation to entertain. It's not that he hates companionship. He's just finally tasted solitude, and it's not bitter. It's warm. It's soft. It's his. And after years of emotional noise, of being misunderstood, of tiptoeing around tension, that peace, it's priceless. So unless someone adds to it, not subtracts, he'll keep living alone. Not in sadness, but in self-preservation. Wisdom comes with time. When he was younger, he thought love would fix everything. Now, he knows better. He's seen how people hide behind charm, how words can be weapons, how attraction can cloud judgment. He no longer chases excitement, he examines energy, listens for tone, not just talk, watches for patterns, not promises. Wisdom taught him this. It's not about how fast the heart beats, it's about how calm the soul feels. He's learned that slow is safe, that quiet is clarity, that love isn't proven by passion but by peace that lasts. So if you ask him now, why are you still single? He won't say, I haven't found the right one. He'll say, I found myself, and I won't lose him again just to be loved. He's done performing for love. There was a time when he believed being chosen meant being impressive. So he overgave, overshared, overcompensated. He tried to be more interesting, more charming, more emotionally available, even when it felt fake. But deep down, he knew he was performing, not living. Every date felt like a suppler test. Every silence felt like danger. Every difference a threat to his worth. Until one day, he asked himself, if I have to keep auditioning, is it even love? Now, he no longer puts on a show. He speaks slower, feels deeper, moves with caution, not fear. Because real love doesn't demand a performance. It invites presence. And if she only likes the version of him that's curated, smiling, filtered, she doesn't know him. And he's done being edited to fit someone else's comfort. He's tired of the shallow dating scene. He tried it, the apps, the bios, the coffee dates that felt more like interviews. He heard the same lines. Looking for someone who can handle me. Drama? Free, unless you cross me. Must be 6 feet, 6 figures, and emotionally fluent. It wasn't dating. It was performance evaluation. What he wanted was connection. What he found was competition. Swiping became draining. Conversations became small talk in disguise. Tell me about yourself turned into resume exchanges. And eventually, he logged off. Not because he gave up on love, but because he gave up on forcing it. Now, if it doesn't start with real conversation, shared values, and mutual emotional safety, he doesn't continue. Because chemistry without depth is like fire without wood. It burns hot, then dies fast. When physical closeness fades, it's a sign, not just a choice. He remembers when they used to hold hands while watching television, kiss without a reason, fall asleep tangled like teenagers. But slowly, the space between them grew. Not from age, not from routine, but from something unspoken. Physical closeness, he's learned, is a reflection of emotional health. You don't just stop touching someone, you stop feeling safe with them. And that's the real pain. It's not just the loss of intimacy, it's the silence that replaced it, the unasked questions, the unsaid truths. Now, he pays attention to touch and the absence of it. Because when affection dies quietly, it usually means something deeper is missing. He doesn't need constant contact, but he needs closeness that's real. And if a relationship can't sustain that, he'd rather hold his own hand than feel unwanted in someone else's. He doesn't want to lose himself again. He remembers how it felt slowly fading inside a relationship. Not overnight, but inch by inch. His hobbies faded, his friendships thinned, his voice got quieter. He became who she needed and forgot who he was. At first, it felt like love, then like sacrifice, then like disappearance. It took years and a lot of silence to find himself again, to reclaim his space, to hear his own thoughts without guilt. Now, the idea of merging lives again feels risky, because he's not afraid of partnership. He's afraid of losing his center. So if love ever returns, it must make room for him, not swallow him whole. He won't shapeshift anymore. He won't shrink to fit. If he can't stay himself while loving someone else, he'll stay single. He doesn't see marriage as a requirement for fulfillment. There was a time when being single felt like failure. The world whispered, you need someone. Family asked, when will you settle down again? But now, he looks around his home clean, quiet, calm, and feels complete. He's discovered that purpose doesn't always wear a wedding ring. That joy can live in solitude. That legacy isn't just children, it's character. He volunteers, he mentors, he travels when he wants, he eats when he's hungry, sleeps when he's tired, not when the calendar allows. Love might still come, but it's not the goal anymore. It's a bonus. He's not rejecting marriage, he's just no longer defining manhood by it. And that shift, that freedom, it's everything. Because finally, he doesn't owe anyone an explanation. There was a time he explained his choices. I'm focusing on myself. Just not ready yet. Maybe someday. But no more. Now, when they ask why he's single, he just smiles. Not out of arrogance, but out of peace. He's no longer seeking permission to live his truth, no longer dressing his solitude in justifications. Because the man who's found contentment within doesn't need to convince anyone on the outside. His life is simple, quiet, full. He may not have a partner, but he has presence, self-respect, autonomy, and that to him is not a consolation prize. It's a hard-earned reward. So if love returns, it must walk gently, because he's not empty. He's whole. They say he gave up on love. They're wrong. He gave up on confusion, on performing, on walking on emotional eggshells just to feel chosen. Because after a certain age, love isn't something you chase. It's something you choose, wisely. He doesn't hate romance. He just knows peace and what it cost him to earn it. He's not afraid of connection. He's afraid of shrinking inside it. So if you see a man who's single after 50, don't assume he's lonely. He may just be living the most honest version of his life. One where calm is more valuable than chemistry. One where quiet is a sign of clarity, not emptiness. And maybe, just maybe, he's not waiting for someone to fill the space. He's protecting it. Because men like him, they don't need to be rescued. They need to be respected. If you've ever felt this shift in yourself, if solitude has become your sanctuary, drop a quiet comment below. I'm not alone. I'm aligned. Let's remind each other that choosing peace isn't giving up. It's growing up. And for some men, that's the deepest kind of strength there is.